Alright guys, it's Noah here with Custom RC Mods. Welcome back to a new video. Now in today's episode, we've got the first upgrade for the Traxxas Rustler. Now I'm really excited to start upgrades now that we've got this thing rebuilt. And of course, there are vulnerable spots on this machine, just like any other RC, that need to be addressed. But spoiler alert, I've got a lot of hop-ups coming here in the next few days and weeks, so stay tuned for those. So today we've got a pretty big one. We've got a lot of different parts that all kind of go together. We are going to be addressing the corners of this RC, so let's take off the body. And it has completely stock casters, steering blocks, and rear axle carriers. And one thing about this is that they also run on oil-like bushings instead of bearings. That's standard for all Traxxas brushed models, or the brushless Stampede, Rustler, and Bandit, I believe. But anyway, that's a problem because you can see right here, these bushings aren't allowing me to turn my tire properly, and it's going to add some excess drag, really, as well as just, it's not going to be that controllable. So that is going to be a problem down the road. So we need to address that and install some ball bearings. So I've got 4 of the Traxxas part number 5116 right here. These are 5 by 11 by 4 millimeter ball bearings. And one thing about these, since this is an older Rustler, you can see by the body style, from 2006, it does not have the standard bearing hubs in there like the newer ones do. So we have to go ahead and upgrade our hubs because these are larger bearings. So I went ahead and upgraded to the RPM caster blocks. Of course, we have the steering blocks and we have the rear axle carriers. These are going to be a lot stronger than the stock ones, and they're not going to break as much. These are arguably the most vulnerable breakable parts on the Traxxas two-wheel drive lineup. So I'm really excited now that we can go ahead and get these taken care of as the first upgrade as well. And the final thing that we need to address is the kingpins in here. I have the stock kingpins with the E-clips. These are just screw-in kingpins from Hot Racing right here. This is Hot Racing part number STE04HP. So that is going to be a nice upgrade here as well, so we don't have to mess around with those E-clips, which are just so dumb and hard to use anyway, and they bend really easily. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. It's a pretty simple upgrade altogether. I'm going to start off by taking off the tires. Alright, so now that the tires have been removed, it's time to go ahead and address these axle carriers right here on the back. We're going to go ahead and take off the A-arm pin right here, as well as the camber link screw on each side. So let's go ahead, and because this is a brush model, I can just go ahead and use my screw gun right here, which is a lot more convenient than having to whip out the Allen keys. Alright, so now we went ahead and pulled off the half shafts, and we're just going to go ahead and pop off the hub, the hex hubs right there, and pull out the little bar. And then there's a Teflon washer you need to watch out for as well. But I'm going to go ahead and leave the old bushings on the inside of the hub carrier right there, and the half shafts can go right there as well. But yeah, just pop off the hub carriers. I don't know why these don't snap on, but they probably will for you. If they're giving you a hard time, go ahead and make sure to get like a flathead screwdriver or something like that, and you can just pry them off. But yeah, now we have our 2 old hub carriers right here. I'm going to go ahead and get my 2 new ones from RPM and cut them open. There they are, and then I need 2 packs of these bearings. I've got 4 right here to go all the way around on this vehicle, but these 2 are going to be for the rear. There's 2 that go into each hub carrier. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and pop 1 bearing into each side of each hub carrier, just like that. And there we have it. Now you can see the original hub carrier right here with the smaller bushings and the larger, beefier hub carrier from RPM. It has this side bracing right there, as well as, of course, the larger bearings that we just installed. But other than that, they do fill the same form factor, so they're going to be good for this little upgrade right here. So now we're going to go ahead and take our half shaft, push it back through these bearings right here. And now we're going to take a Teflon washer and put it on the axle just like so. And finally take our little bar and put it through the hole, just like that, and finish it up by snapping on the hex hub just like that. So now we're going to go ahead and repeat this on the other side and then mount it back to the A-arm and the camber link. Alright guys, so now we are done with the RPM rear hub carriers. They have been installed, and it's time to go ahead and focus up to the front here. Same thing with the arm pin and the screw for the camber link, as well as we also have to use this 3mm nut. Take that off to get the steering link off for the steering block there as well. So let's go ahead and do that now, these three places on both sides. Alright, so now the caster and steering blocks are off of the RC, and if you guys didn't already take off this screw right here that holds on the steering linkage, go ahead and just pull it off just like that. And I'm going to go ahead and now pull off my hex hub just like we did on the rear, Teflon washer, push out the axle. This is what we're going to be leaving behind right here, because of course we have the new hardened steel kingpins from Hot Racing, so I don't need to use these ones with the E-clips right here. So we can go ahead and leave this behind, and we're going to repeat the same process with these steering blocks from RPM, and take the bearings, put them inside both steering blocks just like that. Alright guys, so now that we went ahead and loaded up the bearings into the steering blocks, we have our new kingpins right here from Hot Racing that we're going to go ahead and join the caster block and the steering block together with. So let's go ahead and pull the caster blocks off the little parts tree just like that. So the steering blocks are not left or right specific, it doesn't really matter. However, of course the caster blocks are. Since this one's going to be on left, it's going to sit just like that. So the side with the hole on it is going to be the outside of it. So just push it in just like that, and the steering block is going to go, or the kingpin is going to go up through the caster block and the steering block just like that. And then it has, I believe, was a 2mm a little bolt right there that you have to drive through to connect them together. So again, same thing, reverse process over here. Make sure you make the left and the right different. So on this side, just like that, and then finally we can go ahead and drive it through. Okay, so it's a reverse processing on the other side. Make sure you're making a left side and a right side properly. Otherwise, obviously, it's not going to work. Then you drive your kingpin up through the bottom, just like that. Line up the holes. Alright, and it's the reverse process on the right side. Make sure you're making a left and a right, just properly like that. So, sit it through. Alright, so once that's done, check your work. Make sure you did a left and a right. They're opposites of each other, of course, for each side. Now we're going to go ahead and take the axle and then a Teflon washer on top of the axle, just like that. Teflon washer, and then the little bar. And then finally, our little hex hub just like that. And then of course we can just go ahead and repeat that on the other side and get them reinstalled just like we did before. Another thing I do want to mention is that since these steering blocks are a lot beefier than the original, it's important that if you are going for a long travel suspension arm, more of a monster rustler or slash or whatever style, that you do need to trim a little bit of your A-arm away or sand it off with a Dremel. So it's just this little part right back here, and I'll show you basically how I'm going to do it. I'm going to take my Dremel and just go along with the sanding drum. Just like that, and as you can see, that basically just lowers that back part so that the steering block can move back and forth without binding, making contact with the A-arms. And now we're going to go ahead and finish putting this thing back together. Alright guys, so this upgrade has been completed. The car is all back together and I'm really happy with it. It's not that big of a cosmetic difference, but trust me, the performance is going to be well worth it here. The RPM plastics do tend to do a lot better than the aluminum or the stock. The stock's obviously just going to break, but the RPM plastic does flex out of the way and then it goes back to normal, where I find that the aluminum tends to bend, so you only want aluminum in certain areas, but I think that the hubs are best just to have the flexible plastic, because if the aluminum bends, first off, it's a lot more expensive and it's just worthless at that point, and second off, it's going to bind up your steering and you won't even be able to control the car from there. So yeah, RPM plastics are good. Obviously larger bearings are good as well. They're going to support the axles better, take the load to the wheels a lot better as well, and just the durability factors there. Of course, you can free spin the wheels, so there's going to be less load on the motor as well, so I'm really happy with that. But yeah, the last thing I want to touch on is the Kingpins. The Kingpins is the main point of rotation for your tires, so having those hot racing Kingpins on here is going to be so nice because then it's not going to bend like the original Kingpins would that are a lot softer metal. So I'm really happy with those hardened steel Kingpins on there, and that's going to make sure that my steering is always accurate. So yeah, that's it for this upgrade today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I found it helpful. If you want any of the links to any of the products I featured today in the video, please go ahead and let me know. Also, make sure to smash that like button and hit subscribe and the bell if you want to stay up to date with everything going on in the custom RC mods world. With that said, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.